Welcome, my friends, to the showdown between the Greenskins, who shall be led by Azag atop his mighty steed, Skullmuncha. And today, guys, we're going to be facing off against the Wood Elves, who shall be led by a Glade Lord. I think it's going to be a Glade Lord. Yes, it looks like it's going to be the classic Falcon rush with the Helm of Discord. Definitely some very scary stuff. Now, as far as the build goes, I was kind of expecting a build sort of like this, like some sort of a rush build or aggressive build, so I decided to bring a more defensive build. So here in the back line, we have two Doomdiver catapults, which are actually surprisingly good against Wood Elves. They have pretty good range at 400, they're great at hunting down Wild Riders, and they're very hard to juke. So even if you're playing against like high-level players and they're able to kind of dodge normal cannon shots or missile shots from handgunners or things like that, Doomdiver catapults are much tougher to juke because they do have some heat-seeking properties. So basically you get these guys, you set them on top of some archers in the back line, you go after Wild Riders, and you're going to get some pretty good value over the course of the game. And it really kind of forces your opponent's hand. They have to come in, they have to be aggressive, and then you kind of try and counterpunch with your nasty Skulkers, your pigs, and other stuff like that. So for the leadership, we do have Azag. He's going to have Spirit Leech and Fate of Buna. Spirit Leech pretty good in the Dragon duel, and I was expecting a Dragon from Falcon. Of course, he loves these bad boys and is very good with them, so Spirit Leech is going to help out a little bit in that dueling sense. On top of that, we do have Fate of Buna against the Wild Riders and the Sisters of Thorn and things like that. Now the front line's going to be a little bit wimpy. We got a couple goblins in the center. We do have the 8-peak loonies, and I like to bring them because they're unbreakable. They hold that center pocket even against rush builds. And here on the flanks we have two groups of Orc Biggins. Orc Biggins, pretty self-explanatory. Yes, they can be cycle charged into Oblivion. They don't have a charge defense or anything like that, but if they are able to get into some form of sustained combat versus these large targets like Wild Riders and things like that, they generally can do pretty good for themselves. So we have two of those bad boys, two Doomdiver catapults. In the back, we do have the Broken Tusk Mob, and if you're going to bring some Pig Cav, I think these are the best ones, in this matchup at least, because they do have anti-large and armor piercing, of course, is quite helpful. But more importantly, they have 90 armor compared to regular Biggins, which I think have 60. So these guys are going to be much more durable in the Wild Rider fight. So we have those pigs right there, and in the back, we got nasty Skulkers everywhere. So obviously, when you're playing against very good players, Smoke Bomb and anything that can kind of minimize their micro is going to be good. So if we can get good Smoke Bombs and high-value targets, that is going to be some seriously good stuff for us. Two Goblin Wolf Rider Archers, or actually one, and one of which is going to be the Death Creepers, the Forest Goblin ROR, and these guys are great. Just kind of counter-skirmishing, gives you some mobility, some pressure. They definitely do the trick. And last but not least, we have two Goblin Big Bosses. These guys are going to be coming in and trying to assassinate characters, Dryads, no, not Dryads, but Branch Wraiths. Well, I guess technically they are Dryads, but basically we're going to be trying to go after those guys. And that's it. So for Falcon, he's got the Dragon, a bunch of Deepwood Scouts, which you don't really need Way Watchers against Greenskins. These guys do the trick. They can really tear down lightly armored targets and pretty good against the Greenskin roster. He's got Spears in the back and a bunch of Wild Riders with the Sisters of Thorn. You guys have seen this many times. It's the Helm of Discord rush with the Wild Riders, which is very strong because Greenskins have trouble contesting Cav games. So I think this is going to be a pretty good build from him. So he is going to be coming in here with his Glade Lord, trying to get some freebies here on Azag. So I do pull back, trying to get some supporting focus fire here from the Goblin Wolf Rider Archers, but they are also getting shreked a little bit by the focus fire from the Deepwood Scouts. Nice breath attack there from Falcon, but thankfully it was just on Goblins, so it's it's like about 200 gold lost. But again, we get some pretty good value back. We do Spirit Leech the Glade Lord. We're able to get some good fire and also bait out. I wouldn't even call it a bait out, but we do get the Earthblood Pact, which is quite nice. Now, it looks like the aggression is going to be coming in. So Wild Rider's thinking about coming in here. I am going to be dropping a big old fat juicy Fate of Bune on these guys and also pulling up nasty Skulkers to try and intercept those guys, get a Smoke Bomb, and at least keep them back. Because the longer I can keep this fight kind of ahead or in this area, the more value my Doomdivers are going to get. Now, a little bit of a mistake here. This Doomdiver catapult somehow, I guess maybe I just moved it up here and it was just a little bit out of position. They should be way back here to keep accruing value, but he is able to get some line of sight here with the missile unit, so the Deepwood Scouts are able to kind of creep up on him there. In the meantime, we are able to fend back these Wild Riders, which is quite nice, and our formation is relatively secure. Our skirmishing has gone well. A couple of groups of the Wild Riders are very beat up. These ones are quite tattered. These ones are taking a little bit of Doomdiver fire, and the Lord is also quite damaged. Falcon is going to be falling back here and using the Earthblood to heal up all these troops, so very good, savvy veteran play there. And right here, I do send in the Goblin Big Bosses. They were a little bit ahead. I meant to send them in with the Goblins up here, but unfortunately, they are going to be overextending and getting crumped pretty bad. So big mistake there, but it's not the end of the world. Now, over here on this side of the formation, he does attack with the Sisters of Thorn, but this is a good situation for me. They're poisoned, they're slowed, Biggins are attacking them, and the Wa is now popped. So we're going to get a charge bonus from these Biggins here. We're going to get some pretty good value against those Sisters over the course of this long, grindy fight. Now, bounce bar is pretty even. Both the Goblins do get pushed back here, the Goblin Big Bosses, and I pull the other one back. So, I mean, it is a little bit rough losing those guys, but for the most part, we've done a good job keeping the battle in front of us here, and we have layers, so even though this pocket is going to get crumped, it's Skulkers, it's Goblins, Azag's going to be falling back as well, and now we send into 8-peak loonies, but this entire time Doomdiver is still shooting, the other one gets forced back. I actually pulled them off the artillery piece and then ran them back, but they broke anyway, so we'll be pulling them back over the course of this battle. Over here on the wings, we are able to push back these Sisters of Thorn. Some of the piggies come in, the Broken Tusk Mob. There are some spears kind of mucking me up here, which is a little bit obnoxious, so we will need to retreat there. But here in the center, we have a pretty nasty little fight. We have the Skulkers, which are attacking the Glade Lord. We also have the AP Gloonies, but more importantly, Azag's getting some really good sniping. So he's coming in here, he's feasting on this Branch Wraith, so this is going to be huge. If I can get rid of the healing, it's really going to get rid of those late game shenanigans from the Wood Elves, where they kite you and heal and just really get those single entities strong again. The Glade Lord, though, is getting some good punches on Azag, which is certainly hurting a little bit. Balance of Power is actually relatively even, maybe slightly in the favor of the Wood Elves, but my Doomdiver Catapults are coming back online. The other ones will be running, and they've been shooting this entire game, just going after these juicy targets. Maybe I should have put more pressure on the Deepwood Scouts, and the Pigs here are going to be getting a big old charge here on the Wild Riders, which is good. Doomdiver Catapults friendly firing some of the Broken Tusk Mob, which is quite funny, but Broken Tusk Mob here actually getting an okay engagement. Wild Riders still hit pretty hard against them, but nonetheless, we are able to, for the most part, win that engagement, and maybe we'll be able to get into the back line. So here we have a pretty scary situation. I do break off his Branch Wraith, I have 2 Goblin Big Bosses here, and now we're going to be going after the Glade Lord. If I can get the Glade Lord and maybe get away with Azag, man, that would just be value city. And you can see the Glade Lord's actually wavering, taking a ton of damage. There's several heroic characters here just kind of punching it in the dome. Goblin Big Bosses do, of course, have poison. We can put them on spiders, so certainly not a bad situation. So realizing it's a very important fight here, I am going to be pulling in all of my resources. Nasty Skulkers are coming in, Goblins are coming in. I tried to catch him with the Smoke Bomb there, and honestly, that was a pretty big moment. The fact that the Glade Lord was able to get back up in the sky before I could Smoke Bomb it with the Skulkers was a pretty catastrophic situation. So unfortunately, they probably wouldn't have killed it, but at the very least, they would have held it on the ground and allowed my Goblin Big Bosses to come in and kill it. So really, really big loss right there. Anyways, here, Eternal Guard are going to be pushing into my back line. My Doomdiver Catapult still shooting and still accruing value against the Wild Riders, but I believe I just now switched the target onto the Glade Lord. I wanted to keep it broken, try and keep it off the battlefield, because, I still have a lot of stuff left, and the Balance Power is actually pretty even. Azag, unfortunately, is running, and it looks like he's not going to be coming back, which is a shame, because I had enough Winds of Magic for another Fate of Buna, but alas, it was not meant to be. So now we're kind of just holding. Ammunition on the Wood Elves is running a little bit low, but unfortunately, the Glade Lord has come back, which is pretty big. The fact that that guy came back is going to be quite rough with the Terror coming in, but an Overcast here from the Branch Wraith actually almost nukes the Branch Wraith, so perhaps I should have been switching the targets to that character. But here you can see Eternal Guard are going to be pushing back towards my Doomdiver Catapult, so the Hour of the Doomdiver Catapult, it's looking pretty grim for these guys in the back line, and the Wood Elves are going to be coming in for a big Alpha Strike. Helm of Discord, Terror, and like I said, had I been able to maybe catch those guys with the Nasty Skulkers, maybe, but yeah, the Terror coming back, the Helm of Discord coming back is pretty much able to break my pocket. Granted, the Goblins here, AP Gloony's really holding to the bitter end and, pretty much preventing a mass collapse. Now, in the meantime, Eternal Guard are back here. They finally got into the Goblins, and the Little Gits are certainly in some trouble. They've gotten 39 kills, which is quite good, but Eternal Guard should be able to kind of melt them down. I do pull some Biggins back here, I believe, or at least they were running in this general direction, it looks like. And the Goblin Big Bosses were trying to peel this, but again, Eternal Guard are anti-large, so it's still not a great fight. And at this point, it's looking pretty grim. I'm basically going for a last assassination attempt to go after the Branch Wraith, but it was a good game for sure. The archers ran out of ammo at that point. Most of the Wild Riders were dead. We almost got the dragon. A couple small things. Obviously, when I sent in the Goblin Big Bosses a little bit ahead, I tried to time it so they would arrive at the same time as the Goblins, and then I could pull them back, therefore baiting in the dragon to come after them, but my execution was quite poor there, and it cost me quite a bit. But our Alpha Strikes on the Branch Wraith were good. I think we had some pretty good counterplay against some of the Cav units. But yeah, the Doomdiver Catapults, I think the reason why the one scooted up so far is because he was playing very, very far back, to the point where I had to scoot up really far with the Doomdivers, and then he just kind of rushed in. So I think that's why it kind of looked like I overextended it, because he was so far back with his Cav units, and then he was able to close the distance really quick, therefore kind of mitigating the effectiveness of that range. So maybe I should have been more patient with that. So yeah, a couple mistakes. Keeping the Doomdiver Catapults further back with... I didn't need to defend him too much, because I had a ton of Cav myself, but yeah, keeping those guys back, being more conservative with the Goblin Big Bosses. But aside from that, it was a close game, and it was really fun. His rush build, of course, is very nasty, and he's very, very good at it. I mean, he even mentioned that he made a couple of mistakes this game with the one group of Wild Riders here that ended up getting 0 kills, but for the most part, we did mitigate the effectiveness of these guys. I mean, 0 and 15 isn't that great, 95 here and 71, but his big pimp in Glade Lord was the guy who just gave him the business. And man, it's definitely very hard to keep up with his micro. He's all over the place with those guys. His focus fire is great, his Alpha Strike timing is great. And a couple people are asking about what Alpha Strike means. Alpha Strike essentially means like you're taking all your resources to go in for like a finishing blow. Now, it is something that can become a little bit redundant if I'm saying it nonstop, but still an Alpha Strike can be, happen multiple times, even though it should just be once, but it can happen multiple times. So, very well played to Falcon. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this game, and make sure to check him out on his Twitch channel if you want to see some more high-level play. And of course, you'll be seeing him in the Eternal Challenger League Season 3 Grand Finals, which he's already qualified for. So thanks again for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this Greenskin vs. Wood Elf Showdown. We'll see you guys on the other side. Take care.